Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, welcome. Today I am showing you two projects and I'm getting right into them right away. This is the first one. It is a custom desk and chair and my client wanted it all in white. And she is going to be replacing the fabric herself, but I did find some fabric that you'll see at the very end that she absolutely loved, so I gave it to her to cover the chair with. First off, I took off the hardware and the seat, and this is the new hardware. It is so pretty, and my client actually picked the hardware out, so I had it covered up and hidden so that it didn't get ruined. First off, I sanded with a sanding disc, but I tried the pad also, and it was a 220 grit sanding pad, and it just wasn't doing the job, so I switched to the 220 sanding disc. Now there was a bit of guck on the top, and that is what I was trying to remove with the sanding pad and disc. So here you can see the white marks. That's the guck that was on there, and I will end up cleaning it with Crud Cutter, which will get that right off. Then it was to work on the chair. Sometimes when I'm working on a desk like this and it has a chair, I forget about the chair. But this time I didn't, so I got to work on sanding it, which isn't the most fun part of the project, but it has to be done. Even though this was manufactured painted, I guess sprayed painted in a factory, it needed to be scuff sanded so that there was better adhesion when I go to paint it. So you can see here I have scuff sanded, and there's some guck drips and things that needed to come off. And I even sanded inside the drawers and on the outside because those had to be painted as well. Then I covered up the runners. Even though whoever had spray painted this before had sprayed inside, I wanted to make sure that it wasn't covered in any more paint. And on the bottom is cardboard, so I was okay with that being painted, but I just wanted to make sure that I got that trim and covered up the runners. Then I vacuumed inside and all around, making sure that there was no dust particles and nothing in the back as well that will get in the way of the paint. So here is where it's time to spray my Crud Cutter. I really love this cleaner. It just gets everything off, and it will get off all of that yucky stuff that you saw earlier. So I sprayed outside, inside, and used a lint-free cloth to wipe it all down. And I let it sit afterwards just so that it would dry properly and that there wouldn't be any more Crud Cutter left on the surface. So once I had cleaned the desk, I cleaned the chair as well, making sure that the chair was completely dry as well. And you can see my rag is just covered in the paint that was previously on there. Once all that was done and I had let it sit for, I think about a day I did that, let it sit, I spray painted the new primer that I found last week after I had done those chairs, and I had told you about it last week. It is the Kills Spray Primer. And this stuff is really, really good for coverage and bleed through. Even though this piece had already been painted and I knew there wouldn't be bleed through, it was the coverage that I wanted. And because I'm also painting the desk and the chair white, so it did need a white primer underneath. So I spray painted all in the inside trim and on the outside where it had previously been painted, just so that I get that good coverage and that it is all covered and you don't see the previous black paint. It's okay if you get a bit of the spray paint inside the drawers. You can always wipe it with Windex. That really helps to get that off. Or if you tape it off, you can get some really good nice lines. So here is about 2 to 3 coats of the Kills primer. I think about 2 was really good. And I sanded it down with the 220 grit sanding pad. So I'm just making sure here that it is smooth. I like to run my hand over it just to make sure. And this Kills primer really sands smooth. I love the finish that it gives once you've sanded it. So once I had sanded the entire desk, I also sanded the chair as well, making sure that it was smooth and smooth around the top where you grab the chair as well. So once I had done that, I started spray painting the paint, and I used Crinoline, which is an off-white, and it's by Chic Paint. And you can just see here, it's hard to see me actually spraying the paint because, again, it is white on white primer, but I am spraying it. So I did about 2 to 3 coats of the paint, and here's what it looks like. I lined the drawers and added the new hardware that the client had picked, and that's the fabric on the seat that I had extra of, and she really loved it, so I only wanted it on there for the pictures, but I ended up giving it to her, which is a small piece of fabric, and you can get that fabric at Fabricland Canada. Okay, so here is the second piece. It looks beautiful in that navy blue and the stripes and the tissue paper. I absolutely loved it, but I have had this piece for so long now. It was not selling, and I think it really needed a new look. So I sanded down the tissue paper on the drawers to raw wood and took off the paint as well. And I actually hand brushed this piece. So I used Wanderess by Chic Paint, which is such a pretty sort of vintage blue-green. I really, really love this one. It's one of my favorite colors. And I'm also using a Chic Paint brush as well. So what I had done is, I told you I sanded down the drawers, and I also scuff sanded the entire piece over the previous paint on the sides, just to give better adhesion of the green paint that was going on. I left the top raw wood and just went over it with a whitewash. So you can see here, I'm just painting over the blue, which I had scuff sanded and also cleaned this entire piece. So I wanted to give the drawers just a little bit extra, so I used a stick and style stencil. I absolutely love these stencils. They have so many designs for these stick and style stencils, and all you do is peel it off, cut it off the roll for that section, and then you can use a roller, but I used my brush and I just went over it with the Wanderess, the green paint. And then you can choose to seal the stencil afterwards, or as I did, I just left it. But it looks so pretty when you open up the drawers, and you really need to check out their designs. They have so many of them, and I do have a link in my description. So here's what it looks like. So pretty, I love it. And this is what the whole piece looks like overall, and I'm just top coating it with Chic Paint Clear Coat. With top coat and spraying, you can check out my other video, how to use a Wagner sprayer and paint spraying, because settings are very different for top coats than it is for paint and primer. Then I added the hardware, and this is what it looks like. So the hardware I already had in my toolbox where all my old hardware is, and this hardware worked out perfectly, and you can see the sides there. It's a little bright. It was very sunny that day, but this piece turned out so beautiful. So the custom piece was around $300 for the desk and chair, and this piece is $300 also. So profit overall $600 for 2 pieces, and I am so happy with how this turned out. Extremely happy. So custom work is always great to do and to make some money from as well, especially when a piece hasn't sold. So thanks everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern with a brand new video. Thank you again. Next week's video is going to be the YouTube Halloween and Fall Challenge, so stay tuned for that because there are so many great videos coming and I cannot wait for you to see them.